Tested! Hey, I'm Will from Tested. Today we're here to talk about the difference between the iPhone 3GS and iPhone 4, brand new and shiny, in performance, right? So we've already talked about the new features a fair amount. Obviously the new design, it's a little more substantial. The front and back-facing cameras both are, well, the front-facing is new, the back-facing is improved. The beautiful high-resolution Retina display, which is, I mean, truly a wonder to behold. All that stuff is all new, but let's talk about performance right now, because what I'm really interested in is performance compared to this guy. This is my old iPhone 3GS. It's about a year old now. Suddenly feels a lot older than it did this morning. Let's talk about how the faster processor, the new A4 and the double RAM, 512 megabytes of RAM, impact performance in real-world applications. So to do that, we're going to start with well, browser tests. Everybody loves browser tests. So the first test is the SunSpider JavaScript benchmark. It's a WebKit test. Basically, it tells you how the phone's browser performs when rendering JavaScript-heavy pages like Gmail. So I'm going to start them both now. It's a time test. It'll give results. Basically, we're going to just cut away because it takes a minute or two to run and it's a little bit boring. So we'll be right back after this is done running on both phones. Okay, so SunSpider's done. Interestingly enough, iPhone 4 is a little bit faster, about a little bit less than 20%. It turned in 11,013 millisecond score, and the iPhone 3GS is about 15 seconds, 14,798 milliseconds. So around 20% difference. I can't do that math in my head, but you know, that's the ballpark. Next test is a straight browsing test. So I'm going to load up some normal web pages, not gimpy mobile pages, and we're just going to scroll around, see how the performance is between the two phones, see where the pages load, all that kind of stuff. So let's get started with that now. So the first thing I'm going to do is reload the page. We're looking at, of course, tested.com. Reloading to get, looks like I got a good tap. They're loading about the same speed. They're both on the same Wi-Fi network. I'm not going to show you that, but I mean, we wouldn't mess with that. It seems like everything's loading more or less the same speed. It's a little less of a marked difference. The 3GS lagged a little bit behind, but that's about what we would expect from these phones. The CPUs are relatively comparable. So let's go to let's look at this video actually. Okay, so we're loading HTML5 versions, and we're pressing play. So the 3GS is a little bit slower. The video playback, of course, is unaffected. I'm going to pull back out. It's a little meta for us. Let's do some scrolling and see how having the video loaded on the page impacts scroll performance. So if you'll note, when I scroll, I'm getting the checkerboards at the top of the 3GS, which is on the right. I'm not getting those on the other phone, which is interesting and new. You know, if you've browsed the web on an iPhone, you've gotten used to those checkerboards. So this is a definite improvement. We're going to give this a slight win in favor of the iPhone 4. The iPhone 3GS didn't comport itself too badly, though. So let's go on to the next set of tests. We're going to do some app loads, mainly testing games because they seem to have the worst app loads on the phone store. So the next things to test are, let's start with Plants vs. Zombies. It's P versus Z here. It's traditionally kind of a slow loading game. There's a long load screen, and I'm going to hit the button and we'll go right now. Cue the music. iPhone 4 is loading much faster. By the time the loading screen pops up on the 3GS, it's already loaded on the iPhone 4. We'll call that one a win for iPhone 4. How about Carcassonne or Carcassonne? I never know how you pronounce that. It's German and it's a board game. Similar situation. This one pops straight up to the menu. That's crazy. This one took a minute to actually exit out. Next one, Doom. This is the classic id first-person space shooter, starting them both at the same time. This one's already in the game. E1, M1 Hangar. I don't know why it's showing different ways here. That's kind of weird. Definitely was in the game shooting before on the iPhone 4. The iPhone 4 has a pretty clear performance advantage in browser tests and some other stuff. We'll definitely do more testing against other smartphones, including the Nexus One, the HTC Incredible, and the Palm Pre Plus when we do our full review in a couple of weeks. But for now, you have an idea of how it compares to the existing iPhone 3GS. The other, of course, big hardware improvement is the addition of a 5-megapixel camera on the back. It's always been a camera there, but I think it was up from 2 megapixels to 3 megapixels, something like that. There's some new sensor action going on. It works better in low light situations and stuff like that. And of course, the front-facing camera, which lets you do kind of video chat and FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. So here's some comparison shots so you can see the difference between the 3GS's camera and the iPhone 4's camera. It's crazy windy. Doesn't matter.
This one?
That's good. Clearly, iPhone 4 did a lot better in low light, especially. The other interesting thing is, of course, the flash makes it easier to take pictures when you're in the dark. The last big hardware addition to the iPhone 4 is the gyroscope. Much like a Wiimote controller, you get it uses gravity and magic or something to tell exactly what the precise orientation of the phone is. There's not a lot of software out that takes advantage of that right now. However, we do have one game. It's called Eliminate Gun Range. It is exactly what you might think it is, but it's using the gyroscope for motion, which gives you a little bit better fidelity and more accuracy than you get in a traditional, kind of motion waggle-based game. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell that from the way I'm shooting, but if you can see, it's much more responsive and faster than the iPhone 3GS or 3G are for motion games. So now we've seen how the camera works, how the phone performs, how the browser performs, what little bit about what the gyroscope's capable of. Of course, it wouldn't be an Apple product launch without some, glaring technical problems. A couple of big things. One is that it seems like some people, especially if you have sweaty hands, actually lose phone signal when they kind of short out this connection between the lower piece of stainless steel and the upper piece of stainless steel. We haven't experienced it too much. It happens more to Norm than me. I think my hands must be dry enough that I don't experience the problem. It seems like you can fix it by putting a bumper on. I would assume that Apple will have some sort of fix in the works before too long as well. The other thing is, of course, the yellow band failure. So some people are seeing a yellow band on the lower third of their Retina display. It's probably a display defect. We don't know what Apple's going to do to fix it. I actually have a call into their press people right now to find out what they're going to do for yellow band problems. I wouldn't expect to hear back from them until early next week, just because they're pretty busy right now. So we'll, of course, keep you up to date on iPhone problems and, of course, all the awesome stuff that you can do with your new iPhone 4, well, as the weeks go on. So for Tested, I'm Will Smith. Thanks for watching. We're coming at you from Toronto's International Beard Festival 2010. Let me tell you, up here, things are getting hairy.